want to welcome my guests, Islamic Princess Adeela. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having me on the show today.
No problem. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. For this topic, I thought it would be better to have on the show than itself. So I'm really glad that you took your time out, you came on the trek here. So how are you finding things? The weather is a bit odd nowadays, don't you think?
Yeah, like I gave my nice warm jacket to get dry cleaned, and now it's freezing, and I really regret that decision. But
No, that's awful. Okay, no, but it's not a show if you don't talk about the weather, especially in the UK. So I'm glad. Yeah, the weather was quite nice a few days ago, but now I don't know what's happened. It's just turned for the worse.
I know I was ready to go on a picnic, maybe to the beach, but like
no, you have to. You stay inside.
Oh, definitely.
No, that's great. It's great to hear. We really thank you for joining us today on the show. So today's topic, as we're all aware, is mental health, and mental health is referred to our emotional health. It's our psychological and social well-being as well. It impacts how we think, feel, and act. And it affects how we deal with stress, our relationships with other people, and of course, it influences our decision making as well. So, mental health, when we think of this topic, you might think of a variety of things, and mental health can manifest in a variety of ways as well. I'll just list some of the common ones here. So, it can manifest itself in anger issues, anxiety and panic attacks, bipolar disorder, depression, eating problems, OCD, loneliness. That's just some of the conditions that I found online. There's a whole host of other ways that mental health can manifest. And I'm sure we've all experienced something in this regard as well. It's something that affects us all. I don't know any person that has complete, well mental health. No, it's an ebb and flow, never really there, but you can always work towards it. So I just wanted to kickstart the conversation with yourself, and someone who's been active in these regards as well. You're always kind of championing mental health and taking care of yourself, and not just dealing with the physical side, but the mental well-being is so important. The first question I want to ask is, how do you find the conversation, dialogue on mental health?
I think it can still be quite tricky, but from like years ago, it's definitely gotten better. But I still feel like we've got a long way to go. I think we have gotten better at having discussions around certain mental health. Like for instance, it's gotten easier to talk about anxiety, depression, but then we've got other like illnesses like ADHD, autism, because that's a vast spectrum. You've got schizophrenia, you've got personality disorder. Those are still not really spoken about enough, and I think we've still got quite a ways to go.
But if you compare it to, let's say, 10 years ago, I feel like you definitely hear about mental health a lot more, not just when you're in the local settings, but you have a lot of campaigns, a lot of adverts that are running where people actively encourage you to take care of mental health. So you've definitely seen an improvement, or how do you feel that, let's say, compared to 10 years ago?
From 10 years ago, definitely, I think we have made as a society a good amount of progress. I remember like trying to have these conversations when I was struggling like 10 years ago, and it was honestly very difficult. Whereas if I was to have some of these conversations now, people are more willing to listen and accept them, even though they might not still understand things, but they're still more willing to have those difficult conversations. Whereas before, it was honestly very difficult to even consider talking about that because the stigma is so high.
No, I can imagine that. And I guess with mental health, the discussion in and around itself, the first step is to recognize when we're having some issues, if there's something wrong. So I want to ask yourself, someone who has experience in this, what are the common signs? What are the stages where you can recognize where yourself, for example, you're going through an episode, or where you're feeling down, or something that's linked to your mental health? And also additionally, how can we recognize these signs in other people, our loved ones around us?
I feel like one of the most common signs I've come across is somebody who's becoming very withdrawn from friends and family, and they've lost interest in activities that they used to once enjoy. So it could have been somebody who's very active, and all of a sudden they're now like staying at home. They're not really going out with friends or family as much.
Okay.
I think another one, and that's really common, is being very irritable. Whether like you snap really quickly, or like just emotional as well, where you cry really easily. It could be something like, I don't know, you dropped a glass and you broke it. Normally it might not make you cry, but when you're having like those low feelings that could be the one thing that kind of sets you off.
Okay.
So it does, there's a lot of.
Okay. So some of those things that you've described, are they always necessarily like related to like a mental health problem or issue, or because those things you can have in your day-to-day life, but you're not necessarily, for example, going through any of those conditions, or do you want to speak a little to that?
I think if you're not struggling with mental illness, it might just be like you're having that, like you're feeling that way because you might have low energy, you might be just fatigued, and there could be other things to it. But I think when it's an actual mental illness, that's something that kind of affects your everyday living, and it's not so much as a short-term thing or like a day thing. It becomes a lot more, it's for a longer period of time, and it affects kind of every aspect of your life as well.
Okay, but what you're saying is that you need to take note of these smaller scale activities, how you react to these things. It could be an indicator of future problems, I guess.
Oh, definitely. I think to become like aware of these situations, and if you're feeling a certain way, is very important, because these are signs to get help as soon as you can. It's always better to reach out and like as soon as possible, rather than leaving it and avoiding things, because as we know, when we avoid situations, it tends to make things worse.
Of course, that goes, I think, blanket for
everything,
anything in life.
Okay,
if you avoid, it will just kind of snowball into a bigger issue, a bigger problem. So the earlier you get help, you intervene, be that yourself, or if you do that for someone else, it's better. And I want to ask, what are kind of the red flags? When should alarm bells kind of be going that this individual needs professional help? So you've spoken about situations where things are a little off, but at what point do you actively go and you seek professional help?
Well, that's a bit of a tough one, because I think I would suggest that if you do start to recognize specific like habits or like circumstances around yourself, like if you've suddenly lost interest in activities, I would say that's quite a bit of a red flag to like depression. You can obviously lose interest for like a little bit of time,
but I guess
like
it's continuous,
and it starts to affect everything else. Or if you become very irritable, or you notice somebody who's like mood has shifted quite a lot, they become very reckless, or you've noticed somebody start, for instance, I mean, this is a bit more for an extreme version, but if you've noticed somebody like substance abuse, like that's a really big one. I would always suggest, if you can, definitely try to get that help, because it's always better to speak about it than to leave it, because these things, they always get worse and worse, and we don't want to do that. We obviously want to provide support where you can.
Okay, no, that's great. Thank you so much for that. And I want to ask, as someone, you're quite vocal about your struggles with mental health, and I believe for yourself it occurred, a lot earlier in your childhood as well. Did you receive any support from, let's say, the teachers, or anyone reach out to you? So anyone recognize these problems? So if you want to kind of give us a little insight into that as well, because I'd say, like, we've talked about this community, the South BAME community, sometimes it's very difficult to broach these subjects. It's not easy to talk about them, but teachers, I guess, they have that qualification, they're there to assess, and teachers are very quick to identify if their students are not well, or if they're off, or something's bothering them. Like, they're qualified, they should recognize these things. So did anyone ever reach out to yourself at any stage, or if you could just let us know?
Sure. So for me, I started to like notice signs of like having mental illnesses from a really young age. I was always like a really anxious kid, and definitely from like the age of 10, there were signs like I had depression, anxiety. I mean, I was self-harming, and it was very visible. So the teachers did try to kind of pull me to the side. They were trying to get me support in terms of like maybe seeing the school counselor, or maybe going through the doctor via NHS to have like talking therapies or something. I wasn't always forthcoming because of like, again, the massive stigma that's surrounding mental illness in our community at the time. So I would withhold a lot. But no, like if you can, definitely reach out to speak to somebody, whether it's your teacher, whether you go to your GP or friends or family, just definitely talk about it.
No, that's great. It's great to hear that you had that support, and if not from the teachers that are there, they were able to provide that support for yourself. So what about in regards to family, where they're able there to recognize those signs, and if maybe they weren't back then, are they more accustomed now, more equipped now to deal with this? Because mental health is a journey, isn't it? It doesn't just, you have an episode when you're younger and that's it, you're completely cured. It's something that you have to regularly maintain, and if you don't, it can even get worse. Let's say it's just like your physical health as well. It's something that you might not see, it might not be something tangible that you can hold in your hands, but it's something that is there that you need to look after. So the question is, I guess, what has your family's response been, and are they, I guess, more equipped now? Is the conversation a lot more open than it was maybe before?
Oh, it definitely has. I think when I initially started to discuss like my struggles with mental health, it was very difficult to have those conversations. It became very awkward, and people weren't really equipped, unless you're personally affected by it. You don't really know how to pick up on the signs or necessarily give advice, or just like how to even be present for that person. Whereas if I'm to talk about that now, like even with my mum, she's able to notice like different like signs, and I'm like having like a depressive episode, like I become very I become very isolated. I try to stay away from everybody, like stuck in my room, with my blanket on. I just don't want to do anything. And she's now become more equipped to kind of pick up on these different things, even when I'm struggling. And even with like when I have conversations with like cousins and stuff, we've come to a point where we can talk about these a lot more common. Everybody feels more comfortable to share if they're struggling as well. So
no, exactly. And I think sometimes a problem shared is a problem halved.
Oh, definitely.
And with humans, we are social beings. We are meant to interact with our locals, our village, our tribe, whoever it is. And honestly, sometimes you feel that once you discussed a problem, even if you've not reached a solution, you just feel better. Definitely. Honestly, you feel better.
You do.
So there's something in it. There's some wisdom, there's some magic in that you just need to reach out. And it's great to hear that you're able to find that, be that with your immediate family, with your friends, with your cousins. You definitely need to have some kind of a support system around you. And I think this is something that maybe the older previous generation, they didn't have. Sometimes when they are not able to recognize this, or they don't recognize it at all, we can't truly blame them completely, because it's something that isn't quite real for them. Don't you think?
Unfortunately, it's a lot more difficult to have these conversations still with the older generation, because again, they didn't like, these were not really things at all. That ever, like depression, what does that mean to them? Like anxiety, what is that? Like it was really difficult for them to even now to kind of change and adapt and learn, because we've grown up in, I think, a different society. We've kind of had a lot more of these open discussions, and we see a lot of this as well from schools and like workplaces and stuff as well, that a lot of it is kind of fed to us, so we've become more aware. But it's harder to bring the older generation into this, because they didn't have the same level of education as we did. They didn't have the same resources available as we do now.
And I think their mindset is different as well. If we look at our parents, the struggles that they went through, we're not going through them.
Definitely.
If we look at the struggles of our grandparents, the struggles they went through, we can't imagine. And that's, it's a lot more than maybe what our parents went through as well. Their mindset isn't based on mental health and well-being. It's not about building success, wealth, none of that. It sometimes was just about survival. When you're thinking on that level, you're not thinking about it's like that Maslow's hierarchy. You're thinking about, the shelter, immediate food, that kind of thing. You're not thinking anything beyond that. So maybe they themselves were going through something in regard. Maybe their mental health was poor as well. But again, if you don't recognize it, if you don't have a name for it, imagine you just kind of go on with things. And I really feel for that generation as well, that there should be some support for them now, because for them, I think the only mental health condition is depression. Everyone's just got depression. Whoever they know, it's just depression. No, maybe you need to go further. You need to get a diagnosis. You need to see what it is, because there may be different conditions. For those different conditions, you treat things in a different manner. There's different medication that goes for that too. So I really do feel for maybe those individuals, like, because we have this open dialogue. I mean, we're here on a radio station discussing this. Are they at that stage where they're comfortable opening about their struggles? Fair enough, they're more comfortable talking about our struggles, but what about them? Is there someone there to help them and assist them with their issues as well?
No, it's true. And I think with the elders anyway, I think the biggest thing was being stuck in like survival mode and not really having the time or the energy to kind of think about anything else. And even when they did come to like talking, maybe they didn't have a community at the time where they could so openly talk about these things. Whereas now I think we are still quite lucky. We are also socially connected to one another. Whereas
I'd say sometimes a bit too connected. But definitely there's a community wherever you go. If you don't have people immediately around you, you can find an online community. 100%. You can talk to someone in Japan who's so interested in the same thing as you, if the people around you aren't. It's incredible to think about it like that. But sometimes we're too connected. We need to have that sense of detachment. We're always online, we're always available. Maybe that also contributes to our mental health problems as well, maybe.
Yeah, no, it does. And it can do. And I think if you're sometimes too chronically online,
Yes.
that can be quite difficult as well. You kind of fall into the trap of maybe comparing yourself a lot to other people. That can kind of feed into like body dysmorphia issues, or like just general anxiety, or like sometimes if you're reading the news too often, like it can cause that feeling of doom. And I've had to like step back as well for that reason, because sometimes it just, everything feels so catastrophical that it just like, oh my God, no, I can't really, keep listening or keep doing this. So it's good to know when to take a break and a step back as well, and when to kind of have conversations.
No, it's difficult because you do want to keep aware. You feel bad for example, the news, in regards to what's happening is bad for you to just have to switch off. But I think these are some of the things that you have to do for your mental health and your
100%.
well-being. We shouldn't feel shame in these.
No.
We shouldn't feel bad. It's something that we need to do, because it's like that situation when you're on the airplane and what do they say there? They always say, put your life mask on first and then attend to someone else.
100%,
so you do really need to focus on yourself before you're able then to help other people. We always hear about, I mean, in our family probably we'll hear, the mothers, the sisters, whoever they are, they tend to not care about themselves. They put other people in before themselves, and maybe that's not a good thing. I think I'd say categorically it's not a good thing. You need to assess your needs. You need to see, okay, am I helping myself? And then only then can you help anyone
And they
else.
do say you can't really pour from an empty cup, and that's true. Like if you're struggling yourself, you can't really help people at all, or if you do, you can't really help them to the best. And sometimes we want to do that, and you can't really when you're stuck in a place of burnout, or like you're struggling yourself. So it's always good to maybe sometimes take that step back to get the help that you need, or just even sometimes just doing self-care to help yourself feel grounded can be good, and then continue to help whoever you can. I think that's also really important.
No, that's great. And this is a lively discussion, and I look forward to continuing this. We'll be going on a short break. We do thank all the comments that are coming in on YouTube, Facebook. We are having a look at them. Thank you so much. And we will continue this discussion on how we can cope, how we can deal with this stress, because it's one thing identifying, it's another on how to act upon this, how to improve it, how to keep it in a healthy state. So inshallah, we will see you guys after the break.
Dear America, my hands on my heart, and I knew from the start there's pain. Dear America, can we still be the land of the free and brave? Whatever happened to the American dream? When will we wake up and realize we're not all free? Why have we grown apart? If we can mend our broken hearts, why are we so unjust? If we say in God we trust, how many heroes will fall until there's no one left at all? Why can't we learn our past so we can be at peace at last? Dear America, my love is a truth, and I'm pushing you through to change. Dear America, will we just ignore the war on the poor and shame? Whatever happened to when our kids could be free, safe in their own space and not afraid to learn and be? Why have we grown apart? If we can mend our broken hearts, why are we so unjust? If we say in God we trust, how many heroes will fall until there's no one left at all? Why can't we learn our past so we can be at peace at last? Dear America, and for us to be truly great again, we'll need to show mercy and love for all humanity. Dear America, my hands on my heart, and I knew from the start there's pain. Dear America, can we still be the land of the free and brave? Why have we grown apart? If we can mend our broken hearts, why are we so unjust? If we say in God we trust, how many heroes are fallen until there's no one left at all? Why can't we learn our past so we can be at peace at last, dear America?
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
With UK Export Finance, I'm fulfilling more export orders from around the world with working capital support.
Export insurance means I'll get paid when exporting to challenging markets.
At UK Export Finance, we believe no viable UK export should fail for lack of finance or insurance. Between 2022 and 2023, we provided £6.5 billion of government-backed trade finance to support UK exports. Learn how we could help you win export contracts, fulfill orders, and get paid. Search UK Export Finance today.
तकरीबन 60 मिलियन प्राइमरी स्कूल जाने वाले बच्चे इस वक्त स्कूल में दाखिल नहीं हैं। मयारी तालीम की फराहमी से पसमानदा बच्चों को गुर्बत के मुसलसल चक्कर से बचने का मुसावी मौका मिल सकता है। इस रमजान आइए आपके ताउन से इस बात को यकीनी बनाएं कि हर बच्चे को मयारी तालीम हासिल करने का मौका मिलेगा। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के जरिए बच्चे की तालीम को स्पॉन्सर करें। बस हमारे मकामी दफ्तर 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS पर तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282 723 455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम और ट्विटर पर जुड़े रहें।
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Minhaj Sisters UK are proud to host their biannual retreat Al Tazkiyah 2024 from the 15th of November to the 17th of November. This year, the retreat will take place in Yarnfield Training and Conference Centre at Stoke-on-Trent. We are pleased to announce that we will be joined by Dr. Ghazala Hassan Qadri, President of Minhaj Women League UK, who will be our special guest for 3 days. Join us for an inspirational and fun-packed weekend. To find out more, please visit our website www.altazkiyah.com.
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Revive FM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile,
and online.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, and thank you all for joining us. You are listening to Revive FM 94.0. Yes, we've had some very interesting discussion. We have our guest Adeela Ejaz here with us. We've just been discussing mental health and when to notice these signs, not just for yourself but for other people as well. It's very important that you're able to. I guess the first step is recognizing, and then we are able to action on that. So I just wanted to delve a little into your story, Sister Adeela, if you want to share your experience with mental health, the struggles that you've gone through, especially at an early age. It's not easy, I'm sure. So could you please just speak to that a little?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said earlier on in this podcast, I started to notice signs of me struggling with mental health from a very young age. I was 10, and I could really pick up on the signs at the time.
Okay.
I developed an eating disorder as well. I used to starve myself a lot, and then that like swapped over to the complete opposite end as well. I was self-harming. I became very isolated. I lost interest in a lot of the activity, like things I used to enjoy doing. Later on, I was like diagnosed with a doctor by like manic depression, or that's also known as bipolar disorder. But then my diagnosis kept getting changed. I diagnosed with depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, just general stress disorder. There's also like autism and ADHD, which is like not exactly diagnosed, but the signs are there. The doctors are aware. But as we all know, the waiting lists are so long. So yeah, like the signs were there for like a long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you really have you've listed quite a few mental health conditions. I guess it shows how kind of diverse this issue is, and we shouldn't just reduce it to any one thing. You can have multiple illnesses at the same time, and they each have their own specific needs as well.
Yes,
I guess they need to be dealt with in their own manner as well. So through this journey, through this experience, I want to speak a little about the coping methods and the support that you have had. I think it would be good for the listeners as well, anyone who is currently going through anything like this, or you're worried about someone around you, you're not quite sure if everything's okay with them. Is there, what can we do to provide support for them as well? But I think if you just touch upon your personal experience, and then we can kind of engage in conversation from there.
Sure. So I think one of the main like coping mechanisms I've used, and I think I'll always like say is probably the best thing that we all should really try to do, is always find somebody that you can speak to.
Okay.
Because that takes a load, even if it's just to talk about your experience, and if you're having like a bad time or a bad day, just talking about it takes some of the weight off your own shoulders.
So that would be like the best first step, you'd say.
First step to do. And then another thing, like if you don't always feel comfortable, which I know a lot of people don't always feel comfortable talking, one of the other things I've done a lot is to journal. Like me and my best friend, we have this dialogue a lot. Like I'll always be telling her, like, I'm having a really bad time. Like we'll obviously vent about it. She'll give me that space, she'll listen, and she'll help me where she can. But until I don't journal my thoughts down and express how I'm
That's
feeling,
amazing. You're not just talking to, you're talking to yourself essentially.
Yeah, honestly, it's very
you don't always need someone there to soak it in and give you advice back.
Yeah.
You can even just, when you put things to paper, you assess it, you look at it. Okay, this is what's happening. You can identify something. Oh, okay, this speaking to this person triggers me, or I did this wrong. Maybe I could do this better. Or just generally you're having a crappy day. There's not much you can do about that. So I really like that suggestion of bullet journaling. I think you mentioned.
No, honestly, it's really good. It's just sometimes to get them into clarity.
Yeah,
because I think that kind of basically just frees up some space for you.
It's in your mind, isn't it? You've got to like get it out somewhere.
Yeah,
and you can't always talk about everything. You can't go into that nitty gritty detail sometimes that you want to when you're speaking with other people. There's a point where even they may say, okay, this is enough. You know?
No, definitely.
So no, that's a really great method that you've listed there. And I think even if you're not going through something currently, I think it's a good habit to build, so that when you are, it's something that you're continuously in. Because I'm sure if you have, if you've developed something, a mental health illness, and then you start bullet journaling, it might be difficult. But if you're in the process of doing that, and then, for example, if you're having a bad time in your life, it'll be easier to kind of transition into that.
It would definitely help. And I think if you sort of start to build, you don't necessarily have to be struggling with an illness to develop these habits, for sure.
Yeah.
They should always be there as like a way for you to kind of deal with everyday life, to kind of aid yourself. It's like a toolkit, basically.
Yeah. So like exercise isn't just for people that need to, that are overweight. Exercise is something that a healthy person should be doing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. It's exercise for the mind.
100%. I guess. Yes, definitely. And I think there's so many other things that you can do to cope. Another really good, like in general, I would really highly recommend is to do something that's very creative. whether you're painting, whether you're drawing, whether you're, I don't know, you could be doing like a word search or like anything.
I was going to say, because I'm not that creative. What do I do then?
No, there's so many things, even just like within the creative order you could do. Maybe you can like make a video, even if you edit it just for yourself, like that's fine. You're doing something for yourself. It could be creative writing. I write a lot, and I used to write loads of poems before, and that was another great way for me to kind of express how I was feeling and to just get some of that out. And again, pen on paper, that really did help a lot as well. So there's so many different things, and I think it's like finding something that helps you to feel grounded. That's really important, because you need to have that something where you can just take a step back, breathe, and kind of break away from everything for a little while, because that will really help you just to kind of get through that particular moment and to just give you that bit of clarity that you might need.
No, thank you. That's a lot of great advice that you've given there for what we can do in regards to this. And I do encourage our listeners to call in if they would like to give their input. Maybe they have their own coping strategies or methods that they want to share with us. The number is 0333 444 0940. You can also comment on our YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and we will read out your comments and questions that you have here if you're not comfortable dialing in. So no, that was really wonderful to hear of the strategies that you have developed, and I'm sure maybe earlier on in your life you weren't aware of these, or you hadn't developed this strategy yet. But it's only with experience really that we are able to develop this, and we get to a stage where we can, we know, I'm having a bad day. No, let's stop right here. Let's do something, and then let's carry on. Let's just take a break, get up. We can come back to this half an hour later. It's not a big deal.
Definitely. Yeah.
And maybe when we're young, just the stress gets to us. We don't quite understand what to do. We don't do it in the order that we're supposed to do. So no, that's great. Also, I want to ask, so that's what we can do ourselves. What about in regards to your family, in regards to support that they gave you at the start, and in regards to support that they give you now? How can I help someone who's struggling with mental health?
Again, I think it's important to sometimes just notice these signs that are there. And I think just asking, like, are you okay? Like, do you need to talk about something? Like, I'm here if you need anything. You can lean on me. I think those are really important things that you can express as well. I know that a lot of the times people don't always feel comfortable talking directly about like mental illnesses or if like you're struggling. So rather than being like, okay, do you want to talk about it? Maybe you can be like, okay, let's go out to do an activity together. Maybe let's go out to eat. Let's go for a coffee.
It's not like let's talk mental health.
It could just be anything. Just to maybe sometimes give that person a break, and the distraction is also really important. So that would be like good to.
No, I agree, because for example, if you said to me, let's talk about mental health, I'd be like, no. Very honestly, that would be. But if you said to me, okay, let's go to the cinema, and then afterwards we'll grab some food, and in there you can lightly give a sprinkle of advice and some strategy on how to, if you recognize that someone's struggling.
Definitely.
So that's really great. Sometimes just being that direct doesn't help, and if that person themselves doesn't want help, then how can you kind of help them in that way? You have to just be as gentle as you can. Unfortunately, you can't be too forceful. So we just had a comment come in, a very interesting one from us. Advice for people who can't talk to their family. That's, I think, a very important point. And I think it goes back to the South Asian community, the BAME community. Sometimes it's not that easy to sit down and speak to them. They'll be like, what is going on here? The assumptions that they make, it just doesn't make sense. And where you've been taught, you need to be vocal. Okay, you're being vocal, but your family isn't responding. What do you do in that situation? What advice would you give?
So unfortunately, it is a shame that we've still got a long way to go in terms of like, especially within our community, to have these open conversations. And if you're kind of maybe butting heads or not comfortable or feel safe to have that conversation with family, then I would definitely recommend speaking to friends. There are online forums available where you can talk to people. There's different like helplines available as well. You don't always need to call somebody and speak to them. It can be text. There are some text services available. And also maybe go to the GP if you realize that you're struggling a lot. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's something else that you're really struggling with and you're having a really difficult time. Sometimes talking to your GP and taking the medication or going through them to talking therapies will be really good. I think also like having those connections with friends, or even like sometimes online friends, is really good. Like I've got a really good connection with my online friends as well that I've connected to over Instagram, like posting with my beauty related content. And it's nice to have another outlet on different, I guess, community of people to speak to. So like I do feel for a lot of people who don't have that availability to talk to family, but definitely try to still reach out. I mean, I'm always here and available. Like if you go to my I left a comment earlier, you can find my socials for there too. I'm always available if anybody does need to have like a talk as well. But definitely still try to reach out to somebody. Like friends are another great places to start.
Friends are those people that you
Yeah.
know, they're not family. You're not just born
Yeah.
into that, but they're people that you've chosen to be around.
Yes.
So why not? You should definitely
100%.
speak to these
Yes.
people. They are
Yeah.
there for you to burden them with your problems a little
Yeah.
bit. Again, lighten the load. They
Yeah.
provide you with advice. They know you
Yeah.
in that regard too. So why wouldn't you take advantage of
Yeah.
that opportunity? So you mentioned a few resources, and I want to touch upon that. So we're here in the United Kingdom. There's various ways that you can get help for this. What methods did you engage in? What did you find helped yourself? What didn't? And for someone now going in, what advice would you give them on how to approach the situation?
So I think like when I was earlier, I definitely tried to get help from school. It didn't necessarily work for me because like I said, again, there's that massive stigma attached. So when I went to uni, I had a really good lecturer, like quite a few of them, they were really helpful. They gave me the space I needed to vent, but one of them really suggested that I seek out the university like therapist. And I was really hesitant, and he just goes, what's the worst thing that
Universities have therapists? It's first I'm hearing.
They do. They've got like a special like team that does help, but it's not really that well spoken about again.
Okay.
But
Because
they
I'm
do have.
not aware of that.
Yeah, no, they do, but I think it's about like it's not readily available, unfortunately. So it's kind of
as and when it's needed. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
they don't really offer many sessions, unfortunately, but it's still there if you like you are really struggling. And he just goes to me like, "What's the worst thing you can have like that can happen? Like you don't get along with the therapist, and you change, and we try to find you a new one." And I was like, "Okay, do you know what? That's actually pretty solid advice. Let me just go in for one session. Like, what's the worst that can happen?" I went in, and I genuinely like. I've told this guy before, like he honestly, there were times I was really struggling, and generally he did save me. And I would highly recommend if that's something that you can do and reach out to, definitely do it. And I think something else I tried as well, it didn't work out for me, but when I was really struggling with my mental health and specifically depression, I went on medication for a short time. Unfortunately, it made me worse. So I had to get off it. But for some people, it does wonders. And, you know, if you are struggling with depression, it's really bad. Give it a go. And if it's not for you, it's not for you, but maybe you can try something else that works instead. But still give it a go. And I think now as well, I've done my research into things. I know I've kind of also managed to figure out the signs of when I'm becoming really, really bad.
Okay.
So then I know, okay, like I now need to take a step back, like something's not right here. Let me go see what's in my toolkit that's available. Let me see what activity I can do.
I like it.
That'll help me maybe just to soothe myself a little bit.
So you plan for a rainy day, I guess.
Yes,
Same as
definitely.
when you plan for when you're financially broke, let's say.
Yes,
So you
definitely.
plan for that. Obviously, we don't want for us to be in a situation where our mental health is low, where we cease to function normally, or we're sporadic, we're angry with that. But we need to have these things in place.
Yeah.
You would rather have planned and then not utilize than
Oh,
not
yeah.
plan and there's nothing to utilize.
Definitely.
You know,
yeah.
so of course it's best to do your planning in all regards. I guess it's showing how wholesome this thing is, because it's something that affects you in your day-to-day life. I'm sure it probably affected your studying as well, then, no? If you reached out during your university time.
Yeah, and I think if I had reached out, one of the things I think I regret the most is not reaching out for help early enough when I knew there were signs that were very present, because it really did have a massive effect on my grades, whether it was at school, at uni, or even like doing sixth form. I feel like if I had reached out for help at the time, I could have done a lot better. But like where I am now, I've had to come to the understanding, like, okay, I didn't maybe get the help at the time that I needed. But like now, one of my biggest advice would be, if you know that you're struggling, definitely try to get some sort of support.
Okay, I think we have a caller on the line. Let's take the call. Assalamu alaikum. You are live on Revive FM 94.0. Can I ask who is calling and from where, please? Hello?
Sorry.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, all good. How have you found the conversation so far, sister?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the conversation. It's really good.
That's good. Did you want to add your thoughts, what you think of the program so far? Do you have a question for our lovely guest here today?
Yeah, I have a question for your guest.
That's fine.
Yes, sorry, I'm just nervous. I'm laughing.
No worries.
So, my question is how do you make someone actually what you're saying is like truth and it's not just fake. Because I feel like a lot of people, when you're telling them things, they just think over. I don't know how to say it, but you're just over exaggerating, and the situation isn't
So
as
they
bad.
don't.
And you know that some people
Mhm.
just think that it's just fake.
Okay. And are you referring to like a specific community, or have you found this kind of generally, or just?
I think it's general, because you can't. I think they're general, to be honest.
Okay.
But mainly the
Asian community. That's fine.
Yeah.
They're really taking a hit today.
Yeah.
No worries. Thank you so much for your sister. Inshallah, we'll look to answer your question now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, that's fine. That's a very interesting question there from the sister. She wants to know what if, so we're getting to this stage, but again, what if you have kind of pushback from your family where they're not recognizing it as something? They see that you've broken your leg, but they don't see that mentally you're unwell as well. And I think for them, if they can't see it, they're not able to like conceive that perception that you're not quite well in that regard. And I think the Asian South, especially the South Asian community, has been highlighted here. And we were having a discussion just before the show, and can you just mention some of the things that when we discuss these things, they don't think it's mental health? What do they think it is?
So there's one thing that I've come across quite often, unfortunately, within our community, and it's really disappointing to see this, but they think that certain mental health, like for instance, if you've got schizophrenia or even like personality disorder, like split personality disorder, they think you could be possessed by a jinn. That's really like, these people obviously they're struggling, and they don't really recognize that as a struggle, and maybe they need help with like medication and other sort of support, but they just assume that, you know, it's they're spiritually, maybe they've done something wrong and that's like God's way of punishing them, which I think is a really sad way of saying it, because these people are generally struggling and they need help.
Exactly.
Not to be like blacklisted or violated in other ways or like isolated more because of it. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've noticed. And like, especially with like, even though with other like mental like illnesses we've had like more of an open discussion, we can still speak about that. There's still things like schizophrenia and you know,
and it's a shame that they kind of allude that to a spiritual kind of reasoning to it. Okay, but then you can use that same argument for physical ailments. Okay, so you've broken your arm, is that because you're a bad person? No, that's not because of that. That's just life. If life was perfect, what kind of life would it be? If there was a life where we never went through any struggles, any hardships, that wouldn't be life as we know it now. You wouldn't. How can you have the concept of what's good or what's enjoyable if you don't have the concept of what's bad and what you don't like? You have to have that in comparison for you to enjoy that. For the people that have money, they're at that stage where even like £1 million more won't mean anything. But the person who has nothing, for them to receive, let's say, $500,000, the comparison is off the charts. So you need to have that. So I really don't like that argument at all from any kind of community that it's superstition, it's religious reasonings that you're like this. No, that's not it at all. You're making it worse rather than dealing with the issue at all. And again, it's still we come back to that question: how do we do this? And I think one thing is just education. Continuing this conversation. Don't be afraid to reach out. And if, for example, I feel uncomfortable reaching out to my parents, let's say, I feel like we're in this day and age now where I still, even though we're kind of individualistic a little bit more, we're losing that community feel, the tribe, the village. We're not really as in touch with them. Still, we have a responsibility to those around us, be that family members, be that friends, be that your classmates. So you can't deny that. And if I can't speak to my parents, I genuinely feel like someone should speak to my parents and for me, someone who they would respect, who they would be like, okay, no, this is something real. And that doesn't stop there. In order for this to continue, I myself have a duty. Maybe I need to speak to someone on my level who can speak to someone they're struggling to connect with on this issue. So I could speak to a cousin, whoever, and I'll say to them, look, you know, you need to be it's nicer. This is a real issue. It's not something that's fake or for other reasons. and unfortunately your family just might not react well to you saying it. You might need to bring someone in, someone who could speak to them on that level. And that again, it goes for anything. It's just how you tackle a situation. So I hope that provides a little bit of help, a little bit of advice there for the callers that, you know, are struggling to get through to their families, because out of everyone, you want the people immediately around yourself to be supportive of this. It's a real issue. And again, you never know when you're going to be going through like a dark period in your time. And in that period of time, you want this support. You don't want to have to be kind of explaining that this is a thing. This is why I'm not able to go to this gathering. It's why I can't face these people. It's why I can't do this. It's why I'm struggling, why I'm a little bit slower than what I'm used to. You know, I'm maybe not the same person that you're used to, being the happy, jolly, go lucky person. So no, I hope that helps. Any thoughts, Sister Adeela?
I think no, definitely. Like, unfortunately, they're all just, you will bump into, like, you'll have these road bumps, and sometimes you're not going to be able to get through to your parents or even your own siblings at all. And sometimes if you've got like another relative, like you've said, definitely reach out to them. But again, and I think another big thing is like the education that was available to them versus what's available to us is quite massively different too. Whereas we've got all these resources, they didn't have them. So to them, like, if they can't physically see it, then it doesn't exist, unfortunately. So, you know, like,
that's a crazy mentality.
It really is. But then I think at the same time, people don't realize, like, when you're struggling so much with your own mental health, it does come out in physical forms. Like, you might get pains and aches in specific places. Like, I know with myself, I tend to get loads of like cramps. I hold a lot of tension in my body. So like my shoulders and all that, as you know, you've heard me complain so many times, like my back, my shoulders, they're like constantly in pain. And it just, it does still manifest itself in physical ways. People also, I think, like to be ignorant as well. Just like sometimes ignorance is bliss, unfortunately. But like, if you can educate, definitely try to. But if you are struggling at a point where you just cannot have those conversations, I think you've got to just maybe accept that. Unfortunately, and it's sad to say that maybe you just won't be getting that help from them, and not to like push yourself too much, because you don't want to become emotionally drained from having that conversation if you can't get that help.
Exactly.
Just get it from somewhere else, and I think that might be more beneficial at times. That's what I had to do, and it took me a while to get to the point where I am now. And it could be you're struggling now, but maybe in like 5 years' time or a year's time, they become more open to these conversations because there's been some conversation going on at home. So things could change, but it's just.
Okay. No, that's great. That's some great advice, and it is such a shame that sometimes we have to work to such poor environments, but that's just it. It's life, unfortunately. You know, you're not ever going to be handed the right plate at each situation. You know, sometimes you'll be handed really crappy a plate, so you just have to deal with that. So thank you to all of our listeners. We'll be going on a short break, and inshallah we'll have our last segment. Please do stay tuned. Do forward this link over to your family and friends. I hope you're all enjoying the conversation. The comment section is active, so if you would like to drop your comment, please do so. Thank you. We'll be back after the break.
पानी के बगैर जिंदगी का तसव्वुर नामुमकिन है। दुनिया भर में तकरीबन 2 अरब से ज्यादा लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको पीने का साफ और महफूज पानी मुयस्सर नहीं। रोजमर्रा के इस्तेमाल के साथ साथ पीने के लिए इन्हें आलूदा पानी पर इन्हिसार करना पड़ता है, जिसकी वजह से बच्चे या बड़े सब मुख्तलिफ बीमारियों का शिकार हो जाते हैं, जो अक्सर जानलेवा साबित होती हैं। इस रमजान मुबारक मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन की वाटर फॉर ऑल अपील का हिस्सा बनिए। आप सिर्फ 180 पाउंड से एक छोटा हैंडपंप नस्ब कर सकते हैं, जो 15 खानदानों को साफ पानी उनकी दहलीज पर मुहैया करते हैं। नस्बशुदा हैंडपंप की रिपोर्ट और दीगर तफसीलात डोनर को मुहैया कर दी जाती हैं, ताकि वो जान सके कि उनकी अमानत हकदारों तक मुहैया कर दी गई है। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन को अपनी ज़कात, सदका या खैराती अतियात देने के लिए अपने मकामी MWF ऑफिस 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282 723 455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, Instagram और Twitter पर जुड़े रहें।
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
Minhaj Sisters UK are proud to host their biannual retreat Al Tazkiyah 2024 from the 15th of November to the 17th of November. This year, the retreat will take place in Yarnfield Training and Conference Centre at Stoke-on-Trent. We are pleased to announce that we will be joined by Dr. Ghazala Hassan Qadri, President of Minhaj Women League UK, who will be our special guest for 3 days. Join us for an inspirational and fun-packed weekend. To find out more, please visit our website www.altazkia.com.
With UK Export Finance, I'm fulfilling more export orders from around the world with working capital support.
Export insurance means I'll get paid when exporting to challenging markets.
At UK Export Finance, we believe no viable UK export should fail for lack of finance or insurance. Between 2022 and 2023, we provided £6.5 billion of government-backed trade finance to support UK exports. Learn how we could help you win export contracts, fulfill orders, and get paid. Search UK Export Finance today.
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively, call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Revive FM.
94.0. On the radio.
On your mobile.
And online.
Hello and welcome back to Revive FM 94.0. I am your host, Ayman Anwar, and we have with us in the studio Adeela Ejaz. We've had a very lovely show so far today.
Yeah.
I'd say we've spoke on this subject of mental health. We've spoken about the signs when to recognize. We've heard Sister Adeela's journey, and we've heard some of the coping mechanisms as well that she's gone through, maybe some that haven't worked for herself, but you know, everyone is different. She's encouraged everyone to kind of see what works for them. So no, that's really great. And we've also spoken about the stigma within the certain communities that makes it a lot more difficult to deal with this subject. I mean, as if it's not difficult enough.
Yeah.
It becomes even more difficult with certain communities. Just we can't blame them. It's just the way things are. But I feel like things are taking a turn. There's a lot more you hear on mental health nowadays, a lot more awareness campaigns, so that's really good. I do feel like there is sometimes a bit of a barrier to get help. And I want you to just kind of talk a little why it's important to seek help and why it's important to seek help as early as possible.
It's really important to get help at any stage because I think, in my opinion, and from what I've seen, isolation does kill. Unfortunately, when you start to become isolated from family, friends, you stop kind of engaging with people and you start to cut yourself off because maybe you're depressed, maybe you don't have, like, you're overwhelmed and you're just no longer having like external support. You kind of become stuck, and unfortunately that does lead to like suicidal feelings. So it's always best to kind of get help when and where you can. The earlier the better, because The longer you leave things unhealed, the more difficult it can be to heal them in the end. Like, I wasn't aware and I was struggling for so long, and someone told me this like advice recently. She'd had like a really bad breakdown. It took like, it was leading up and it was happening for like 5 years, and then she finally had a breakdown, got help, and the doctor said to her, like, it took you were stuck and you were struggling for 5 years. You're not going to heal in one day. Like, again, Rome's not built in a day. It's going to take you as long as you were struggling to kind of heal from that. So it's always better to get that help and support as soon as you can. It's never too late as well to get that support, even though you could feel like you're miles away and you're like unsavable, but that's not true, because
No.
any little help can, go a long way. So definitely reach out where you can.
No, exactly. And the point you mentioned about loneliness as well, I think it's so great in this day and age, even when we're so connected, it's so easy to feel lonely as well. I don't know how it is. We're all isolated. We're in our own spaces, especially COVID. COVID was a big impact. I think it really exacerbated the loneliness epidemic of sorts. It wasn't just a COVID epidemic. And I think on that point, we need to highlight the mental health crisis in young men as well.
Oh, definitely. I think even though we've had conversations that have come quite far, but still, like, men do struggle a lot more, because there's also like the, I guess, societal role, or like the gender roles,
the pressures where man up, it's fine, nothing's wrong.
Literally the most toxic things men get told from a very young age, like, don't you dare cry, or don't, like, just bottle things up. Like, you got to be a man, you got to put on a front that you're so, like, a certain way. And honestly, that's so harmful in so many ways. And now we're in an epidemic that men, they're struggling so much, they can't come forward and speak about these. And unfortunately, like, and this is a very touchy topic, and I am sorry to have to bring this up, but like the amount of suicide rates that are men is so high.
Alarming.
If like 3/4 like is men who are, hurting themselves. And it's such a shame that men feel like that's the only answer, and they can't come forward, they can't receive the help, they can't talk about it. Even like talking to their own friends, they feel like they can't do that, because they have to keep like uphold this image that they're the man, they're providing. And it's such a shame that it's still kind of like that.
I think when on that point, I think with the circles that men are in, I think they do find support in their brotherhood.
They do. Yeah.
I vaguely recall I was on Reddit. I'm a big Reddit fan, and I was going through a forum, and it was just talking about men and their mental health struggles. And I'll be honest, it seemed like they did get support from other brothers. Where they didn't receive support from, unfortunately, maybe it might just be that cohort, that I'm not doing a blanket kind of assessment, was they found it quite difficult to reach out to the females in the women in their life. They themselves found it quite odd. They'd say to these young men that you need to man up a little bit. We don't want to see you like this. We don't want to see you crying. So I think we need to, as women, as sisters, as mothers, as aunts, as friends, as cousins, whoever, I think rather than waiting for that person to come to you, maybe we should take that step as well. It's worth sometimes checking in with the brothers, because to be honest, I would have thought it would be the other way around. I thought that men would have trouble relating with telling other men, but I was really shocked to find that the women in their life were giving them a little bit of grief for reaching out to them in this regard. So I don't know, I just found that really, really odd, and that shouldn't be the case. And I think we should encourage the brotherhoods that are here, where young men, they connect, even not just young men, the seniors clubs that are around in various facilities where they can come, tea and talks. It's just about getting together and just talking about whatever, doing that on a somewhat regular basis, the impacts it has compared to those who don't speak to anyone. You can tell the difference. So no, definitely it's very alarming to hear that the young men in our lives feel like they're stuck, they have no one to speak to, and they shouldn't. We're here to speak to them. So no, I also just want to talk on this. I mean, we've probably touched upon it as well, but in regards to children, they may not be fully aware of what exactly it is they're going through. So I feel like, again, there's a responsibility on caregivers, on older siblings, parents, on how to recognize that there may be an issue there that needs to be addressed. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important to be aware of signs and like changes in your children, like as soon as you can. And if you are a parent and you're struggling, maybe to get the right help. An organization that's really good, of course, is a GP, but also Young Minds. They are an organization that help parents with like kind of dealing with the signs and like how to help provide support for their child that might be struggling with like depression and anxiety. And I think it's really important that we are aware and we can kind of, you can't obviously, if somebody does develop a mental illness, you can't like, it won't go away, but you can definitely kind of encourage your children to develop habits that make them stronger in certain things.
Yeah.
Like going back to me, like even if I had some of those tools that I do now, I think I would be in a better place than I would have been able to get a little more help and maybe do things differently to now. So definitely if you are a parent or like a caregiver, guardian, anyone, maybe have these conversations. There's definitely resources available online. Mind have some as well on how to have these conversations with your children. You could have like just teaching them some coping skills and what they could be.
Yeah.
Maybe teaching your kid journal, draw, meditate, join a club, join a society, interact with other people, maybe picking up a sports, just anything, something is always good. And if you start to have those open discussions with your children, I think children will become more comfortable to have those conversations with yourself. And so rather than having that kind of awkward kind of barrier put in place, once you kind of maybe as a parent take that step to your child, they'll feel more comfortable talking to you, and that can
genuinely
do
like
a lot.
I think parents nowadays, the young parents, they're in tune with this.
Yeah.
You know, they'll ask, oh, how was your day today?
Yeah.
And the kids are open. They wear their hearts on their sleeves. Like today was crappy. You know, this happened, that happened.
Yeah.
But then it's the parents' responsibility in how they respond to that.
Yeah.
You know, okay, if they're having a crappy day repeatedly, there's something wrong.
Definitely.
Okay, if you just feel like, you know, the child needs to toughen up, which some children do need to, okay, there needs to be appropriate measures in place for that too. And you do a lot of research when you're about to have a child. Is mental health part of that?
Yeah.
Is there, you know, you see those fat books that, you know, to be parents, they're holding their reading. I want to know, is there a section about the mental health of that child in those books? I don't know if there are. Maybe it just focuses on the, I guess, early ages, but still, I think that's something that should be in there. It's definitely something you can't ignore.
No.
Now more than ever, you can't ignore this topic, and it shouldn't be ignored as well. That's why we're here. We're talking about it, and I feel like we can discuss this for hours upon hours. I feel like we've just scratched the surface a little, but I hope what we've mentioned today has been helpful for those that are listening. Would you have any last advice for any of our viewers? I hear you have an interesting project in the works as well. Would you like to tell us about that, please?
Yeah. So when I was at uni, I did kind of like develop a project. I did kind of piggyback off something else. I was like another project somebody else had done, but this time it was more to kind of keep the conversation around mental health going. So one of the things was at the time, some of the friends and other people that I knew, I'd asked them like, would it be okay if I was to maybe take a picture of you or like an item that's associated with yourself? You can maybe tell me some of your struggles, just kind of to like anything you want to talk about mental health related. And we started to have like these really interesting conversations. Unfortunately, I did have to put pause on that project, but I would really love to pick it back up again. If you're interested to read some of those, you can find them on Instagram. It's Proj Mental Health, or then on my website, it's dailywithdeals.co.uk. So you'll find a more like detailed, like the full conversation there. And I think sometimes just reading about it and, you know, just talking about things does help. Again, like just now compared to 10 years ago, like we've definitely come quite far, but we've still obviously got a long way to go. And one of the ways we can make sure that we continue to go forward and kind of chip away at the stigma that's there, especially in our community, is to keep talking and to never stop talking about it. And even though the conversation might get difficult, but it's just to keep giving it a go. You know?
Yeah, no, definitely. You have to respond to the needs of society.
Definitely.
And I'd say this is a big need of society wherever you look. There's a need for this. I'd say again with COVID, you know, where children, they went from interacting with people every day to isolation, now introduced back into that same environment. You can't expect them to hit the ground running. There needs to be some conversation. There should be something to kind of bridge that gap. And really thank you to yourself for coming to the show. And it's also great to hear that you're looking to give back as well. You're not just here focusing internally on yourself. Not that maybe there's a moral responsibility, but you're definitely fulfilling that. It's really great to hear this. And no, again, thank you so much for coming in on the show. And just one last point I want to end on. We've spoken about mental health in various forms that it presents, how to deal with it, how to cope. And there's a reason why I've chosen this subject last. I also do feel like you definitely have to kind of maintain your spiritual connection as well. I don't believe that if you're feeling down, it's because you're not maybe close with your Lord, you're not practicing. No, I don't think that at all. But I think definitely, even just, for example, coming out of Ramadan, you feel a little bit of sadness, a bit of loneliness coming out of a month like that. And I don't think it will only benefit, I think, for you connecting with your deen, with your religion. So I would definitely encourage that. And I know if you're already feeling down, it's not easy to incorporate that into your life. And that's absolutely fine. I would say to yourself, you take baby steps, you take small steps. You know, for those that, you know, are struggling to pray, the advice for them isn't that, okay, you need to pray 5 times a day.
Yeah,
No.
it's not going to work.
The advice for people that aren't praying is that, okay, let's start with the basics. What do you need to pray? Okay, you need to be in a state of purification.
Yeah.
Okay, just ensure that you are in a state of wudu the entire day. Okay, do that for, let's say, a week. Okay, then the next week, how about let's try praying Fajr, let's say. Okay, you've done that. Okay, how about incorporating another one? You're not supposed to go in, you know, full head on heels and expect there to be results. No, that's not the case.
And definitely don't try to guilt trip people, because like, don't be like, oh, but like praying will kind of make things go. It doesn't always necessarily work like that. Definitely doing baby steps is the way to go. And like you said, maybe it could just be like, let's pray together.
Yeah.
You know, that's still a step forward. Maybe let's go to the masjid for Jummah. Like that would be something that you could both do together. And definitely baby steps are always the way to go, especially when you've been struggling for so long. And don't ever feel like you can't ever go back and maybe pray, because praying is a form of meditation and that will always help. Sometimes we just need to purify ourselves a little bit and we can feel like a sense of comfort. And, you know, that's also really important.
No, definitely. And again, we've spoken about mental health, something that you can't ignore. And for sure, you can't ignore. Same way, your physical self, you can't ignore. And you shouldn't ignore your spiritual self as well, whichever religion you may subscribe to, or even if you don't, that's absolutely fine. But those that do, it's something that you should definitely try to work on. Again, like your mental health, you work on it, your physical health, you work on it. So we definitely need to keep that in check as well. And I'd say the mosques nowadays, they're quite modern. Okay, they offer a variety of services. You don't just go into the mosque to pray. That's not it anymore. There's, you know, sister circles, there's brother circles, there's events where you can just go and you can just sit in the mosque. Sometimes that is so peaceful. The building next to me is a mosque. Sometimes I do that. I'll just go in. Sometimes, you know, when you're feeling a little down, you just want to be in that environment. You know, you want to hear the adhan. So that's absolutely fine as well. So no, I definitely did want to touch upon that. I think that's an important part of your overall mental health as well. You definitely need to touch into that side too. Okay, so thank you so much, Sister Adeela. It's been wonderful talking to yourself.
Thank you for having me today.
No problem. And inshallah, maybe we'll continue this discussion as well. I want to thank all those that are listening on YouTube, Facebook, and our live frequency 94.0. Thank you so much for your comments as well. We've been watching them throughout the show, and especially for our caller as well. It's lovely to have this engagement. This is a local community radio station. It's for the local community. And if you want to get in touch, you can visit us at Revive. If you just type into Google Revive FM 94.0, you can get in contact there if you want to feature as a guest, if you want to host your own shows as well. You're more than welcome to. Thank you so much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Minhaj Sisters UK.
Imagine a
are proud to
world
host
where
their
every young
biannual
mind is given the chance to flourish and thrive. Thanks to your kind donations, this dream can become a reality this Ramadan. Minhaj Welfare Foundation is the driving force behind over 600 educational institutions and have provided over 250,000 scholarships. With only £15 per month or £160 per year, you can pay for a student's education, shaping futures and creating a world where education is not a luxury, but a right for all. The donor will receive an education progress report. To donate your zakat, sadaqah or charitable donations, Visit your local MWF office at 12 Carr Road, Nelson, BB9 7JS. Call us on 01282 723 455 or visit our website at www.minhajwelfare.org. Stay connected on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for the latest videos and updates.
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no-obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Did you know? Product misuse is the leading cause of accidental fires in British homes, with numbers rising by over a third since 2009. Millions are making basic electric safety blunders without realizing the risks. With modern living, our homes are fitted with more electrical appliances than ever before. Stay safe, avoid overloading sockets, unplug when not in use, and never use damaged cords. Your safety matters. For further information, please visit us on www.electricalsafetyfirst.org.uk.
With UK Export Finance, I'm fulfilling more export orders from around the world with working capital support.
Export insurance means I'll get paid when exporting to challenging markets.
At UK Export Finance, we believe no viable UK export should fail for lack of finance or insurance. Between 2022 and 2023, we provided £6.5 billion of government-backed trade finance to support UK exports. Learn how we could help you win export contracts, fulfill orders, and get paid. Search UK Export Finance today.
Revive FM.
94.0. On the radio.
On your mobile.
And online. This is
Revive FM
94.0 with the latest news from around the world. This is Revive FM 94.0.
Reviving communities.
The views expressed on this program do not necessarily represent those of Revive FM or its management.
بسم الله وبالهادي رسول الله توسلنا بسم الله وبالهادي رسول الله وكل مجاهد لله في نار البدر يا الله وكل مجاهد لله في نار البدر يا الله توسلنا بسم الله وبالهادي رسول الله توسلنا بسم الله وبالهادي رسول الله مرحبا يا مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم مرحبا يا مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم ये हबीब खुदा مرحبا يا مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم مرحبا يا مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله عليه وسلم
لو في يوم كان الحمل عليك تقيل وتايه لوحدك مش لاقي دليل والهموم تخلي الليل طويل وترميك في غربة ومرارة ومد ايديك تلقى دايما حواليك هو الله قبلك حاسس بيك إن شاء الله إن شاء الله إن شاء الله حتلاقي الطريق إن شاء الله إن شاء الله إن شاء الله حتلاقي الطريق لو في يوم
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
With UK Export Finance, I'm fulfilling more export orders from around the world with working capital support.
Export insurance means I'll get paid when exporting to challenging markets.
At UK Export Finance, we believe no viable UK export should fail for lack of finance or insurance. Between 2022 and 2023, we provided £6.5 billion of government-backed trade finance to support UK exports. Learn how we could help you win export contracts, fulfill orders, and get paid. Search UK Export Finance today.
तकरीबन 60 मिलियन प्राइमरी स्कूल जाने वाले बच्चे इस वक्त स्कूल में दाखिल नहीं हैं। मयारी तालीम की फराहमी से पसमानदा बच्चों को गुर्बत के मुसलसल चक्कर से बचने का मुसावी मौका मिल सकता है। इस रमजान आइए आपके ताउन से इस बात को यकीनी बनाएं कि हर बच्चे को मयारी तालीम हासिल करने का मौका मिलेगा। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के जरिए बच्चे की तालीम को स्पॉन्सर करें। बस हमारे मकामी दफ्तर 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS पर तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282 723 455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम और ट्विटर पर जुड़े रहें।
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Minhaj Sisters UK are proud to host their biannual retreat Al Tazkiyah 2024 from the 15th of November to the 17th of November. This year, the retreat will take place in Yarnfield Training and Conference Centre at Stoke-on-Trent. We are pleased to announce that we will be joined by Dr. Ghazala Hassan Qadri, President of Minhaj Women League UK, who will be our special guest for 3 days. Join us for an inspirational and fun-packed weekend. To find out more, please visit our website www.altazkia.com.
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Revive FM
94.0. On the radio.
on your mobile.
And online.
قمرون قمر سيدنا النبي قمرون وجميل وجميل سيدنا النبي وجميل قمرون سيدنا النبي قمرون وجميل سيدنا النبي وجميل وكف المصطفى كالورد نادي وعطرها يبقى إذا مست أيادي وكف المصطفى كالورد نادي وعطرها يبقى إذا مست أيادي وعم نوالها كل العباد وعم نوالها كل العباد وعم نوالها كل العباد حبيب الله يا خير البراء يا قمرون قمر سيدنا النبي قمرون وجميل سيدنا النبي وجميل ولا ظل له بل كان نورا تنال الشمس منه والبدورا ولا ظل له بل كان نورا تنال الشمس منه والبدورا ولم يكن الهدى لولا ظهورا ولم يكن الهدى لولا ظهورا ولم يكن الهدى لولا ظهورا وكل الكون أنار بنور طه قمر سيدنا النبي قمرون وجميل سيدنا النبي وجميل
يا وجيه الدين والكرم وحليف العلم والحكم نبي 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 يا رسول الله سلام عليك يا رفيع الشان والدرج رسول 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 يا وفي العهد والدمام وحميد السعي والشيم آمين 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 يا رسول الله يا عمدتنا يا إمام الأنبياء الأمنا خاتم 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 وفقيد المحو مفترق منه بالإفلاس والعدم رحيم 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 يا وجيه الدين والكرم وحليف العلم والحكم نبي 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 وصلاة الله خالقنا تتغاشى سيد الأمم مصطفى 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 أحمد المختار سيدنا عدد الأوراق والتيام كامل 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 غير أن الفضل منتكب من عزيم الفضل والكرم كريم 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 يا وجيه الدين والكرم وحليف العلم والحكم نبي 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 نبي
كن فضوليا وأكثر السؤال كن فضوليا وأطلق الخيال اسأل تفتح أبوابا اسأل وستجد جوابا أسرار الكون ستعرفها ناقش واعرف أسبابا تلقى عجبا وعجابا نفسك بالعلم تحررها اسأل تفتح أبوابا اسأل وستجد جوابا أسرار الكون ستعرفها ناقش واعرف أسبابا تلقى عجبا عجابا نفسك بالعلم تحررها لماذا وكيف وماذا اشرح لي ذاك وهذا قلها للناس وكررها كن فضوليا وأكثر السؤال كن فضوليا وأطلق الخيال كن فضوليا وأكثر السؤال كن فضوليا وأطلق الخيال جيل يستفسر يسأل هو جيل أسعد وأجمل يفهم دنياه يعمرها لاحظ وابحث وتفكر وتساءل واسمع وانظر فكك أشياء وركبها جيل يستفسر يسأل هو جيل أسعد وأجمل يفهم دنياه يعمرها لاحظ وابحث وتفكر وتساءل واسمع وانظر فكك أشياء وركبها لماذا وكيف وماذا اشرح لي ذاك وهذا قلها للناس وكررها وأكثر السؤال كن فضوليا وأطلق الخيال كن فضوليا وأكثر السؤال وأطلق الخيال كن فضوليا كن فضوليا وأكثر السؤال كن فضوليا وأطلق الخيال كن فضوليا وأكثر السؤال كن فضوليا وأطلق الخيال
السلام عليكم، اتمنى عجبكم الفيديو. شاهدوا فيديوهاتي السابقه واشتركوا في القناتين عشان ما تفوتكم اعمالي القادمه، ويسعدني تواصلكم في وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي. ما يمنع تسوون لايك وشير اذا تحبون.
the Prophet of Allah. You are a shining light, enlightening everyone's path and guiding us all the way. Ya Rabbi bil Mustafa balligh maqasidana waghfir lana ma baqaya wasi'an karami. O Muhammad, may there be peace and blessings on you. May Allah grant you as promised the maqam of Mahmud. Ya Rabbi bil Mustafa balligh maqasidana waghfir lana ma baqaya wasi'an karami. There is no one like you, there is just no one the same. So merciful is your nature, and most high is your name. Ya Rabbi bil Mustafa balligh maqasidana waghfir lana ma baqaya wasi'an karami. Look at the heavens, the earth, the shining sun and the moon. When Allah made everything, He made it all just for you. Ya Rabbi bil Mustafa balligh maqasidana.
पानी के बगैर जिंदगी का तसव्वुर नामुमकिन है। दुनिया भर में तकरीबन 2 अरब से ज्यादा लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको पीने का साफ और महफूज पानी मुयस्सर नहीं। रोजमर्रा के इस्तेमाल के साथ साथ पीने के लिए इन्हें आलूदा पानी पर इन्हिसार करना पड़ता है, जिसकी वजह से बच्चे या बड़े सब मुख्तलिफ बीमारियों का शिकार हो जाते हैं, जो अक्सर जानलेवा साबित होती हैं। इस रमजान मुबारक मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन की वाटर फॉर ऑल अपील का हिस्सा बनिए। आप सिर्फ 180 पाउंड से एक छोटा हैंडपंप नस्ब कर सकते हैं, जो 15 खानदानों को साफ पानी उनकी दहलीज पर मुहैया करते हैं। नस्बशुदा हैंडपंप की रिपोर्ट और दीगर तफसीलात डोनर को मुहैया कर दी जाती हैं, ताकि वो जान सके कि उनकी अमानत हकदारों तक मुहैया कर दी गई है। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन को अपनी ज़कात, सदका या खैराती अतियात देने के लिए अपने मकामी MWF ऑफिस 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282 723 455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, Instagram और Twitter पर जुड़े रहें।
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
Minhaj Sisters UK are proud to host their biannual retreat Al Tazkiyah 2024 from the 15th of November to the 17th of November. This year, the retreat will take place in Yarnfield Training and Conference Centre at Stoke-on-Trent. We are pleased to announce that we will be joined by Dr. Ghazala Hassan Qadri, President of Minhaj Women League UK, who will be our special guest for 3 days. Join us for an inspirational and fun-packed weekend. To find out more, please visit our website www.altazkiyah.com.
With UK Export Finance, I'm fulfilling more export orders from around the world with working capital support.
Export insurance means I'll get paid when exporting to challenging markets.
At UK Export Finance, we believe no viable UK export should fail for lack of finance or insurance. Between 2022 and 2023, we provided £6.5 billion of government-backed trade finance to support UK exports. Learn how we could help you win export contracts, fulfill orders, and get paid. Search UK Export Finance today.
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively, call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Revive FM
94.0. On the radio.
on your mobile.
And online.
يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم. هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته لكل هول من الأهوال مقتحم. يا رسول الله سلام عليك عظيم الجاه والكرم. يا رسول الله سلام عليك عظيم الجاه والكرم. محمد نور محمد نور مديح زاد فينا سرور مشي فينا بدرب النور. محمد نور محمد نور. La da da da, oh, la da da da, oh, oh, la da da da, oh, la da da. Ya Allah Tuhan kami, dengarkan diri ini, kabulkan doa kami, ampuni dosa diri. Muhammad ya Habibi, syafaatmu yang dinanti, bahaya kan dihadapi, derita kan dilalui. Ya Rasulullah, salamun alaika azim al-jahi wal-karami. يا رسول الله سلام عليك عظيم الجاه والكرم. محمد نور محمد نور مديح زاد فينا سرور مشي فينا بدرب النور. محمد نور محمد نور. يا رسول الله سلام عليك عظيم الجاه والكرم. سلام عليك عظيم الجاه والكرم. محمد نور محمد نور مديح زاد فينا سرور مشي فينا بدرب النور. محمد نور محمد نور محمد نور محمد نور مديح زاد فينا سرور مشي فينا بدرب النور. محمد نور محمد نور. يا رسول الله سلام عليك عظيم الجاه والكرم. يا رسول الله سلام عليك عظيم الجاه والكرم. يا رسول الله.
نبي 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 يا وجيه الدين والكرم وحليف العلم والحكم نبي 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 يا رسول الله سلام عليك يا رفيع شاني ودرجي رسول 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 يا وفي الأحد والدمام وحميد السعي والشيام آمين 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 يا رسول الله يا عمدتنا يا إمام الأنبياء الأمنا خاتم 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 أفقيد المحض مفترق منه بالإفلاس والآدم رحيم 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 وصلاة الله خالقنا تتغشى سيد الأمم مصطفى 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 يا وجيه الدين والكرم وحليف العلم والحكم نبي 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 نبي
Yeah, 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 yeah.
يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا اغفر لنا ما مضى واسع الكرم هو الحبيب الذي تنسى شفاعته لكل هول من الأهوال مقتحم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم محمد نور بديع فينا سرور مشي فينا بدرب النور محمد نور محمد نور يا رسول الله سلام عليك يا عظيم الجاه والكرم
وافر على لك في الأشواق في سحر نطلب الوصل حتى حين تقترب لا أكثر الضيف من أخاف أوقفني والحب يقبل كل كافر الألم
وطلب حصول منفعتنا واندفاع المضرة من الله بذكر اسم نبي الأولين إكرام للمتوسل به الطلب من الله لأن الأنبياء والأولياء لا يخلقون مضرة ولا منفعة ولكن نحن نسأل الله به الرجاء في مطالبنا فنقول
يا ربي بالمصطفى
مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ضنايا واسع الكرم
يا خير من دفنت في الترب أعظم فطاب من طيبه النقاع والأجسام
يا رسول الله سلام عليك يا عظيم الجاه والكرم
شد رحالك إلى القبر الذي قصرت التبرك منه العجب والعرب محمد سيد الكونين وأفرح وليل والفريقين من عرف ومن عجم
محمد نور محمد نور مديح زاد فينا سرور مشي فينا بدرب النور محمد نور محمد نور
النبينا في خلق وفي خلق ولم يداعوا في العلم ولا كرم
يا رسول الله سلام
Minhaj Sisters UK are proud to host their biannual retreat Al Tazkiyah 2024 from the 15th of November to the 17th of November. This year, the retreat will take place in Yarnfield Training and Conference Centre at Stoke-on-Trent. We are pleased to announce that we will be joined by Dr. Ghazala Hassan Qadri, President of Minhaj Women League UK, who will be our special guest for 3 days. Join us for an inspirational and fun-packed weekend. To find out more, please visit our website www.altazkiyah.com.
Imagine a world where every young mind is given the chance to flourish and thrive. Thanks to your kind donations, this dream can become a reality this Ramadan. Minhaj Welfare Foundation is the driving force behind over 600 educational institutions and have provided over 250,000 scholarships. With only £15 per month or £160 per year, you can pay for a student's education, shaping futures and creating a world where education is not a luxury, but a right for all. The donor will receive an education progress report. To donate your zakat, sadaqah or charitable donations, visit your local MWF office at 12 Carr Road, Nelson, BB9 7JS. Call us on 01282 723 455 or visit our website at www.minhajwelfare.org. Stay connected on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for the latest videos and updates.
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for you.